Hi, and welcome to yet another beautiful podcast. Today we're joining you from a very lovely place. We are in Uganda, working with Vijana Corps on this conversation that we're going to be having today. My name is Rashid David Mutaha. I work for Development Dynamics as a Movement Building and Strategy Associate, and I'm really excited to be hosting this podcast today. What we want to speak about is an issue that every single person should be having in their minds and in their everyday conversation. Today, we want to talk about how young people perceive opportunity and agency. When you look at Africa, when you look at Kenya, when you look at Uganda, when you look at any country in Africa, we see that currently we have a youth bulge. And what we mean by that is that young people under the age of 35 make up the majority of the population, but we're still seeing so many challenges that they're facing. We'll talk about employment, talk about access to services like healthcare, education. There's a lot of things that young people are still being discriminated against, yet they have the power, they have the influence, and they have the agency to actually make change. And so today we really want to dive into that conversation and unpack it as much as possible. But I shall not be alone. I have an amazing panel over here, and so I shall invite them to introduce themselves, starting with my immediate left. So, yes, sir.
Oh, thank you, Rashid. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yusuf Gidudu. I work at the Vijana Corps.
You've already become Development Dynamics. It's okay. It's all right. Welcome.
Thank you. And over to you, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Welcome, my people. So, my name is Mwende, and I work with Rashid at Development Dynamics. And I'm super excited to be joining you guys on this particular, session, and I look forward to a successful one. So I do visual design, UI, UX, and storytelling. So let's see what comes out of this today.
Yeah. So thank you very much. Otim Ivans is my name. I work for the African Youth Development Link, a youth-focused led organization that empowers young people to provide them a link between duty bearers and themselves. Yeah.
That's super and reminds me of something that we once used to do, but we'll get to that. And thank you, Ivan. I think maybe we can just start with you. We are talking about opportunities that are available for young people. And so the question is, looking at what is happening currently and the current affairs, what are some of the most significant opportunities that are available for young people or that they can tap into?
Well, thank you very much for that brilliant question. Now, from the perspective that opportunity is the ability for you to do something that you want to do, now we can be able to contextualize this opportunity in regards to economic, political, social, because all these add up to how then young people can be able to place themselves in the framework of how they can be able to engage. So, the question that you asked is that what opportunities are available? Contextual-wise, whereas we can say that the numbers is a great opportunity across the globe. From this case, I don't know East Africa, but I know for Uganda itself, the numbers can be able to tell that the youth bulge, the youth numbers are a greater opportunity in all the spheres of development. But what I can also tell you as a fact is that this quantitative reality has not been translated qualitatively, in that all the governance, all the policies are not speaking to how these numbers can be mobilized as critical agents.
Numbers really is the thing. And maybe I can also invite Yusuf into this question. You work with Vijana Corps. Vijana literally translated being young people. And so from your work and from your interactions, what do you also see as some of the most significant opportunities that young people can tap into now?
All right, thank you so much, Rashid. To start with technology, technology is one of the opportunities that young people can tap in. Given the fact that the young people are the ones that are go-getters and they are always on internet and building this and the other, and given the fact that he shared that we are the majority, the quantitative of everything that we have as young people couldn't support us unless we pick up as young people to move the technology way.
Yeah.
You've seen that we are now having online gigs and working remotely. It's one of the advancements that has come into the workspaces. So it's us, the young people, and the technology that we are using that can enable us work. The other one is that if you are a youth, you're able to run a bit of up and down. You can have up to 3 gigs if you're really good into technology. So technology is one of those. The other one is I wanted to talk about. The other one is on education resources that we have. We have a lot of institutions around that are coming up to do hands-on skills, and these are all opportunities for the young people. The other one is global collaboration, like with the internet we have at the moment and the networks we create. It supports us to interact with people from different platforms. You can be on the many different platforms that I can't mention here right now, and be in position to interact with people from the globe, all over the globe. I have had people on LinkedIn reaching out to ask what you do, how you do it, and all these are opportunities for the young people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's literally the world now is at our fingertips. And so I can be here in Uganda and I'm talking to somebody abroad.
Yeah, and given the fact that we are user-friendly to the technology, not like the generation before us, we are always easily adapting to the changes in technology. So this is all an opportunity for us as young people.
I love that. Please note, Yusuf does not mean that other people are old. We are just saying that we can adapt faster. Before we jump into the next question, I feel like bringing Mwende into this. He talks about technology, and you mentioned that, well, I know as well, that you're a UX UI designer.
Most
so
definitely.
Even in that lens, really, what are these opportunities that are available for young people such as yourself?
Again, I kind of like echo what you said. Technology is very vast, and the internet is one of the biggest resources that we have into kind of like digging deep into the tech world and understanding what is there for us as the young people to really kind of like explore. And I think there's more. And I would love to kind of tailor it in industry, especially like the tech industry at large, and maybe talk about opportunities that are there and that, you know, young people can tap in. Like myself, I do UI UX design. And kind of like moved to development dynamics to help them with visual design as well. And I really love the fact that the tech has enabled us to be able to work from wherever we are and still be able to deliver even overseas if need be, right? And kind of like look at a project I worked on with a pretty interesting team from the United States of America. It was pretty good to, you know, make sure that, you know, it was pretty interesting to see that, you know, all these people are on the other side of the world and we are here in Kenya and we have like a pretty smooth conversation going on and collaboration going on as well, and we were able to like accomplish or complete this particular project with so much you know, smoothness at the end of the day. And as tech is massive, you know, tech is wild, and I think this is a space where a lot of young people need to tap in. Again, the world has changed so much because you still get to work from the comfort of your house, and you know, you wake up and your office is at your home. You know, when I kind of like, you know, want to jump in and talk about the Gen Zs themselves, we are the Gen Zs, and we sit in a place where we're like, oh my God, I can't afford to wake up, go to the office like, you know, from 9 a.m. to 5 PM, and I'm like, you know, that's so much for me, you know? So yeah, and the beauty about tech is the fact that you do not need to really do that right now. You can work from the comfort of your house. You just need to tap in on the web and explore the different opportunities that are there for you, and you pick something that you know is going to work for you, and you can do it from whichever part of the world that you just want to settle in, basically. So yeah,
I absolutely love that. And just to pick from that, you speak about the ability to be able to work from wherever it is that you are. And Yusuf, you earlier also did bring up the aspect of, global connection through technology and the internet. So my question then is, what are some of these learning opportunities that young people can begin to tap into in order to shape and capture the opportunities that are available for them?
Thank you so much, Rashid. Like I mentioned, for us as a Generation Z,
Gen Z,
like we are always adaptive. There is AI at the moment. AI is supporting young people, even if you never went to school to that level of campus, you can learn something given the opportunity with the internet and the gadgets that are needed. So for us to be in a better position as young people and young people in there, we would prioritize learning on a daily.
Yeah.
Learning, unlearning, and evolving every other time so that we are better in our day-to-day operations. It's only possible if you give in a heart as a young person and dig much, like my sister mentioned, you dig in much to see what is really needed of me and what your goals are. If you have a goal set out there, I'm telling you at the moment there's nothing that can fail you, because then the generation we are in with AI and the support that you are getting, even if you didn't walk into a college, you would still have the skills the one person that walked into the college could have.
Yeah,
absolutely. Maybe Ivan, you can also jump in. Africa Youth Development, you are giving space and agency to young people to be able to tap into these opportunities, which is what we're really unpacking. Even from your lens, what do you see as some of those learning opportunities that young people can begin to just explore in order to have agency and power?
So very well, like currently right now in the globe, ICT systems and AI as emerging tool are developing frameworks through which young people can use to thrive. But again, also when you look at it from the other way, across the development world, most of these are becoming tools that are threatening the spheres of employment, because then it's likely that the emergence of robotics and how these things are unfolding, if we don't pay attention on doing the critical cost benefit on them, then we can also be able to come back and analyze on how these could be either an opportunity or a negative one in terms of how they will take away the opportunities that we are driving through. Now, from the basis of AI, one of the critical things, and for me, I'd like to contextualize this, that AI has not just emerged right now, but I think in my globe or somewhere else, we are just beginning to realize that AI has been there. So what is the mismatch between what AI existed before and now is an issue that I want to galvanize on. That if we don't find these mismatches and create ground to understand that if we cannot find the right place to make the serious decisions to know that this is how the world is trending, and then government makes in place very both qualitative policies and programs and efforts to make sure that we be able to resonate with some of these demands and trends, then we will not be able to catch up with the globe elsewhere. Otherwise, we'll be narrating AI. So as we are talking about AI, these guys will be thinking about something new, and we'll be lost almost everywhere. So
Yeah.
So really just moving out of the quote-unquote darkness. And I pinch myself when I say this, the dark continent, which is a very colonial mindset, but I pinch myself. But really just being able to move out of that darkness and allowing ourselves to, as you were saying, adapt to change and be able to move with what is happening in the global space. And as we speak about that, it really brings in the aspect of formal and informal education. So Mwende, I'd like to ask you this question. We're saying tech, being at home, having access to the internet really opens you up to learning a lot of things. And as Yusuf was also mentioning, is that now you can be a professional without having walked into school. So then the question becomes, in what ways does this formal education, which is being in class and having a teacher and a blackboard and all of that, and informal education influence young people's sense of agency and also self-independence?
That's a pretty interesting question and a good one, to be specific.
Thank you.
And I really love the fact that I love the fact that this is the aspect of informal education, because if we kind of like retrace from us as individuals, it all starts from when we are born and started navigating the journey of growing and becoming individuals that can critically think. But before we get that, where formal education comes in to help us to become critical thinkers, we have the aspect of informality, and where we are taught the general stuff, handling ways, and this is as small as knowing how to just do your own meals. Because as once you get to a certain age where you are getting out of your parents' house and you, as a youth, you want to step out there and start living alone, you need to know how to probably prepare your meals, unless you have you guys have generational wealth and you have someone to cook for you.
Yeah.
But
that's a dream,
I mean, everyone. Sometimes I'm like, why are we not rich? But we get there almost definitely. So, that the formal aspect of it, and then I really love we've come a long way as Africa, as the world, and also getting to a point where education is really important, and the formal aspect of it, which help us as generation to critically think and become people of kind of like, they help us identify our purpose in a way, because if you're really not educated, you cannot sit down somewhere and think critically about whoever you want to become as an individual at the end of the day. And that agency and independence comes when you as an individual or as a youth can sit down and think critically, then you also start looking at the independence and the agency part of it. You become like functional like human being in the society. And again, as I said, the world has changed so much. Right now we are really speaking up for ourselves, we are making decisions for ourselves, we are really independent, and we are not in a position where you're just like listening and you just always have the person who says yes. You can think critically, make decisions, and say no when need to be. And I'll reference on myself in 2020 and 2019, or the past few years, I used to be like a yes person. Yes person. Someone tells me, you need to do A, B, C, and D, and I'm like, I don't feel like I really want to do it. Well, I've really gone through the formal education, and I understand what it means, like really critically thinking about something and kind of like making a decision to see if this is going to be in your favor or it's not going to be in your favor. But I still had the fear of, what if I say no? And then I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. But over the years, I love the fact that I have learned to be independent and to make my own decisions as a person, as a young girl growing in our society. So being in a position where you're not compromising anything, and you're saying no when need be, right? And you're also showing up when you need to, and you're also pulling back when you do not need to be that. So they're all kind of like merged together. They come together very well. So we need education. Please, let's educate our young girls or young boys out there. Let them, go through that process. They become, functional human beings in the society who critically think and make their own decisions. And so is the informal aspect of it. Like, at least as a girl or even as a boy, please, even if it means washing one of your t-shirts, at least learn how to. We have money, yes. We can do machines, but let's learn how to. At least even if it's washing a t-shirt.
When they like the soft life through laundry,
everyone does, and I will have all these things in my house. But again, at least I can show up and when there's no power, that. So let's merge it together and at least work towards becoming functional people in the society as youth, to be specific. So
for sure, and absolutely love that you say, we use formal education to create the subsets in which allows us to be critical thinkers, allows us to also be, people who can creatively think as well, but then be able to go out there and discover something new, I mean, I went to school, but I never graduated. But here I am, leading a conversation with people from Africa Youth Development. So informal education made me. I am a picture of success. But that kind of leans into the conversation also, where you look at the African space and you look at the development space, and what we always keep on referring to and reiterating is the need for entrepreneurship. And I love, Ivan, you keep on saying about policies and policies, but also policies that allow for young people to be entrepreneurs, and doesn't limit them to not only start, but continue in that entrepreneurship journey. So maybe I can start with you, Yusuf. In what ways do you think, or do you see that entrepreneurship among young people can actually create that sense of ownership and also sense of agency?
Thank you so much, Rashid. One thing I want to say is that with the innovation and creativity in entrepreneurship, it's one thing that has enabled young people in the sector to like flourish, because then picking on the technology we talked about, here we are using technology as young people to market our goods. It's different from the generation before us. They are struggling with that. At least we own the space online, and then we are supporting each other in areas where we need support. Like Vijanako has many other young people they are working with. They have a lot of products we are selling. In these WhatsApp groups we have created as young people, as we interact, we are finding out that at the end of the day, I'm buying your shoe you're making, the shoe you're making. I am supporting her hair she's selling, or the chemicals for the hair. At the end, we are supporting each other. So with the creativity that we have had on in the long run, we are able to move on. But also something to do with the innovation. It is from the time that we innovate new ideas that we are becoming better entrepreneurs. All of us, I think, are born entrepreneurs. It's just that we lack the support. And then with the skills, the innovation, creativity, and then the skills impacted on us, we can do better. It's just a matter of picking us up. You mentioned that you're not a person of formal education. We appreciate formal education, by the way, for it gives us the base, the English gives us the base, the knowledge. But then the informal education is supporting us to understand the practical skills. Like, we don't need to go to school to, we can go to school to do the shoes. We can learn. People have been in school, and most of the teachers that teach entrepreneurship, some of them don't have they teach entrepreneurship, but they don't have enterprises. They are not running any. So what is going wrong? They went to school, they studied this. So it's basically the informal practice that is supporting the enterprise growth in the generation we are moving in. It reminds me of a story, which I want to link to the next question to you, Ivan, around entrepreneurship. Yes, you're right, Yusuf. We're all born entrepreneurs. When I was in high school, we had a canteen where you could buy, your cakes and your breads. And I was in Ngumu, is what we call it in Kenya. And in Form 1, the problem was that the older students would go and buy everything. So by the time you're getting there as the Form 1 is like year 1 in high school. You don't get anything because guys have finished it. So I started a business. My business was paying a Form 4 fourth year to buy the mandazis for me, and then I sell them to my Form 1s for a profit. I know. Now here's the problem, I was brilliant. I was making money. My dad once asked me, "Did you go to school to learn how to make money?" I was like, "My guy, I'm doing both." But here's the problem. When it was discovered, the rules of the school were like, "No, you cannot be doing that." How I link this to the next question? I don't know how I thought that would be the best way to bring this question up. But the policy in the school at the time was that I was not allowed to be making money off my fellow students. Now here's the thing, Ivan, you've been talking a lot about policies and how some of the policies that we have are quite restrictive for young people to be able to flourish and grow in their own space. You see how I've linked it? You see? I'm brilliant. I went to school. So what do you think, or what policies or changes do you think could help really shift that narrative on how young people take up their own destiny, view their own power, and idealize what their future looks like?
From the point of agency, there has to be about two, three things. There has to be ability. And then there has to be a kind of desire for how the decision-making processes that can be able to influence the change that, one, you can make from an individual basis, then you can then drive that to the community, and then you can drive that to the wholesomeness of the whole country. Now, if we take that case study of yours, from an individual basis, there was a desire for you to be an entrepreneur. There was something that was starting inside you. But again, there was someone who was seeing this as the risk of a sort, something that's not appropriate. What am I bringing into play is that the naturance for us as young people in this globe is that we have been nurtured in a dependency aspect. Look at the education system. No wonder we are crying about the unemployment rate, because very many of our young people, all our sisters and brothers, go through formal education. You're talking about formal education, right? Go through formal education with the aspect that then they have to go and look out for a job. The desire for them to go up for 3 years of education, knowing that they can translate that knowledge into a skill, and then thus be able to make that transcend change in their own lives, and that their community is mistaken from that perspective. So the other also challenge that we can look out for is that we talk of the policies. It is very true that, for example, I'll tell you, you go to the national listing, Uganda is the most entrepreneurial country in the world. Very many of our businesses are started, but many of them do not live to the next birthday. What am I saying? That there is a mismatch, that very many of our young people are starting businesses because are enterprising because there is no opportunity, but I would say it's more basic of survival. No one wants to start because then there is this urge that you're going to start this enterprise, and then this enterprise has an opportunity for you to be able to offer the employment, maybe make the impact it can create on the community level, and then looking at it at the national level is then how many businesses are thriving and then the economy thrives. No one wants to look at that in connectedness. But very many of our young people are surviving in the business environment, but also from the last point, the policies are not responsive. While very many young people want to enterprise, innovate, want to be, in this space, the policies are not supporting. In the global developed countries, enterprising is one of the things that is supported at early stages. We actually have funds out there that are supporting ideation, but you go here and ask any government in the region and say, okay, how many funds are available for young people to ideate?
They're like, ideate what?
Like ideate what? Like now we're talking about AI, that government should be mobilizing young people and telling them, okay, what is this AI thing about? Can you help us break this down? They will not do that because the policies that they have created are not an enabler for this kind of discussion.
No, I love that. It's really, there's a there's a mismatch between what young people view as the opportunities that are available for them, what they want to do, how they are emerging into the market, versus what's happening on the ground with like the leadership, with the policies that are coming up. So there's kind of this whole thing where we don't see, it's what you were talking about, ability and desire. So we have the ability as young people, we have the ability to think creatively of the different things that we could do. We have the ability and strength, as Yusuf was saying, you can be young and have like 3 to 4 gigs because we have that strength, we have that oomph. But then the desire on the other end is lacking. The desire to support our businesses, the desire to break down the barriers to accessing funding, the desire to actually, as you're saying, create an innovation fund that allows young people to ideate. But you go to a government office and you say, just give us 500 million for us to ideate. Ideate what? Don't talk about money. The monkey stole it. That was a true story.
For real.
But I want to now invite us to really think about the future. I want to invite us to imagine and to dream. I want us to, all these things that we're saying are barriers, to remove them And in a sense, the question then being, if we look at the future, if we are looking to the future, what do you hope to see in how society supports young people's diversities, young people's expression, and young people's destiny? I guess we can start from here as we go.
Okay, thank you, Rashid. I think one thing I wanted to emphasize on is us having policies that are inclusive. At the end of the day, the policies we make as government, you're making it for us. Then involve us from the start. Let's not plan for young people out there for what we think is good for them, other than us consulting from them. The policies will only be nice and really actual, or rather practical enough, if the young people are involved from the beginning.
Absolutely.
I was also looking at the access to quality education. We are talking of education. We have entrepreneurship in schools, but are we really doing entrepreneurship in schools as a subject, or we are just working the theory part of it? Let's have it as a practical subject. Let's not just talk about it. I did entrepreneurship in high school, and the shocking thing is that we were all asked to do a project, and that project was just for a period of time, like in senior 5, senior 6, and then you're done. And it ends there. Like, you start a small business, fund it as young people in school, and then after graduating from college, you're out of the business. Like, you see the world differently. Let's have it practical. Let's have people discuss these things beyond just papers that we answer and give the case stories that you're doing a case story on Kakira Sugar Works, and so what? Let's have a discussion beyond just the theories. And then the other thing I was looking at is the opportunities that the government could create for the young people. The funding opportunities. We talked about, there is an innovation fund in government, I think, in the Ministry of ICT for Uganda's case. But none of us is accessing the monies. They are using these monies to say we are doing mindset change. And then they wake up in the morning and they drive their Land Cruisers and come to the field and have a workshop with you.
And change your mind.
Take tea, give you some transport refund, that is done. They just have a conversation about it. The mindset is not going to be changed by just having a conversation in the boardroom and we move out. I think somebody is planning these policies to benefit themselves. That's what I can say. They are planning policies to see how they can spend the money that the monkey took, and then at the end of the day, they are leaving us in the same state. Somebody is benefiting from the situation we are in. I want to say that. Somebody is benefiting, because then I think they believe if we are good enough to move, they will not be there to be praised or something like that. So they will work towards having us down there so that we are struggling and coming to them for help, and every other time discussing the same things. They know what is working and what's not working. We have had government have policies. The reforms in schools, I would request that they sit and revise the policies they have. We are having many government programs that were directed to the young people. But after a program fails like this year, for example, in Uganda, we have had Emyoga, we have had, way back before even Emyoga, we had Youth Livelihood Program, the Women Empowerment. All these programs are tackling issues around the same thing. And then the program fails, they just change the name, they rebrand the program and come back with a new program. Now we are on a program called PDM. It's a Parish Development Model, a program that has inherited the other programs that have failed, and then the other programs that have failed, they are working in the background. Why don't you tell me, why don't I then come at the end of the day say that someone is benefiting from this? Because that's where I draw my conclusions and say, they are doing it to fail, then somebody goes away with the monies, and they are not held accountable. It's bad. Let's move that direction. As you wish for us to prosper, work with us. Let's have policies that are for us. Let's have reforms that are factoring in all the failed issues that were raised. Consult from us. If you had a program, you rolled the program, it failed, call us back. If we really participated in the beginning. But most of those programs that have failed have not been engaged to the grassroots, like the people that you bring the program. For example, there's a program that skilling. It's a good program, skilling young people. But you see that they are skilling young people and equipping some of them. But then the program itself is good. But the way you bring it up, you're saying somebody's in the mountains, in Elgon, for example, Elgon zone. You're skilling them on, for example, mechanics. There are not many garages that will accommodate these people in those areas.
In those areas, yeah.
The practical thing. They will end up coming at the college where you're gathering them for a year. They do the training and go back and see. Because then they don't have many cars in the region. We need something to move away from these known skills that they think that they are the only ones that we should do. Tailoring is what they are looking at. They say they can do baking, they can do tailoring. Let's give them mechanics. Let's think beyond that. We can think about the AI involvement. Let's think about growing the young people in technology.
Absolutely.
This is something that we can do because we do it willingly. I am at the moment, I can't tell you that, Rashid, I can go back and think of getting a skill in the garage where I'm going to be smeared on oil, then in the evening I'm going to check on my girlfriend. I have oil on my ears. I'm just going to allow you that. So the only thing I can do is give me these skills that like people are looking at, even Ivan mentioned, we are looking at getting out of school, out of college, to have a conversation of, now I'm done with school, I need a job. Yeah? Can we work that direction? That if we are learning, let's learn things that will give us jobs, not formal jobs that we would go to government offices, but creating jobs. This is it's a policy issue.
Yeah.
But someone is failing us because they want to benefit from that. Thank you.
That was very passionate,
God.
Yusuf. I think Yusuf is really deeply hurt by this.
Very much.
By these policies driving their Land Cruisers. But thank you so much. Wende?
No, I felt like that was very comprehensive. It's giving, I can't beat what he said. But but I'll echo. Actually, but I'll echo on what you've said on, we get people, mobilize them, give them courses, and then after that, we let them go. For me, my biggest challenge has been having the people organizations that are helping youth create like a complete cycle. And a complete cycle, I'm looking at if you've been funded to organize like a youth movement or teach them particular skills. After this particular program is done, do not just let these people go back to their homes because they'll go back to their, their routine.
Yes.
So establishing cycles or like processes that will now help these people move to the next level. If someone has learned, maybe we're gonna go back to like baking. How are you helping these particular people now start practicing the skills that they've gotten?
Yeah.
Because now we are looking into them now starting having like a sense of independence. So you also realize that the work that you put in just does not go to waste, right? So it's helping these people or youth get opportunities, and then also making sure that they're settled in. And not only are you making sure that they're settled in, are you following up with them like 1 year or 2 years down the line to make sure that this is alive, right? So, because we do not want to kind of, you produce, and then you realize that all these people that you've produced are making no difference in the society that we are living in. So having that complete cycle where you pick, educate, and walk them through the journey of now them becoming functional, sensible, and independent, because we're talking about independence of the youth as well at the end of the day, independent people in the society, and they can now stand by themselves. And at the end of the day, they can also now come and hold another youth and walk with them through the same journey. So that, and now we can also talk about like mentorship at the end of the day, right? So there's that. And again, also, you cannot work when you're not okay within, right? And I'll always speak about the aspect of mental wellness, which is a very important thing. Again, you can teach someone so much, and if they're really not okay, then they won't be able to achieve anything. So also like identifying or coming up with, safe spaces where different people can really express themselves. You can work with these, the different set of youth into identifying who they are and kind of like working, kind of self-awareness to a particular level where you can sit down as a person and make decisions. Because again, we are in Africa, and we grow up again in societies where women are not supposed to speak up.
Yeah.
Men are not supposed to cry. Men are not supposed to show emotions. And I usually say, above all, we're just human beings and we are built of emotions so that we can express them. And we have we can think so that we can express how we feel. So we shouldn't have things which are holding us behind towards becoming the best selves that we can be. So working on us within, helping these young people go through self-identification, and then making sure that they have so much peace within, because whenever you have so much peace, then we also think clearly into becoming a functional person at the end of the day in the society. So I think I'll wrap it up from there and then we go back to Evan.
I love that. Functional, sensible, independent. And then also the aspect of mental health and mental well-being as one of the baselines that we also need to look at in order to build a society of young people that are okay and happy and at peace. And mental health is one huge conversation that I know we cannot get into right now, but I love that you brought it up, because then that leads us to another convo about mental health and young people and where they're at. But over to you, Ivan. We're looking at the future. What do you hope to see?
Well, I would like to build it from the fact that one of the things I would like to say first is that there has to be recognition. Now, for me, where there is political inaction, sometimes we talk about political action, but where there is political inaction, someone has to be able to recognize what is the cost of the inaction. When you look at the numbers in Africa, when you look at the numbers across East Africa and Uganda as a country where I am right now, someone should be thinking about what is the cost of the inaction that if we don't invest in this generation, what is the cost? And I will be able to tell you the fact that as a country, for example, right now, the word that I can easily use is we are mortgaged. The future is mortgaged. And the person who's going to be able to take off that mortgage is a generation that is not yet here. Probably they're still in their earliest years. And if we don't mobilize them, we don't prepare that generation, then we have a country that is going to fail under our watch. So the cost of inaction can also be built from the reality that if you look at the numbers right now, someone should be imagining that if I invest in this generation, how much can we be able to rip out as a country, both economically and politically? Because sometimes we think it's about economics, but we know that where young people are not politically mobilized, the cost is actually very bad. That they will turn against everyone and everything. The other thing that I would like to also speak about is strengthening capabilities, and from the aspect of agency, the young people themselves have to realize that their numbers have to be in tandem with the quality of how they engage. Now, if we don't realize that we can make young people be the forefront of using their numbers, I mean the quantitative reality, speaking qualitatively, then we're not going to be able to make anything pass. These guys are going to sit in offices and pass whatever they want to pass, because then the numbers are not speaking. We are seated back at the forefront. I'm happy I work for an organization that celebrates putting young people at the forefront of decision making. So we can all build that agency by making youth voices count, by putting them at the forefront of decision making power, so that then those that have power, the power is within the young people. Alternatively, then those that have entrusted power begin to realize that the owners of the power really need to take their space. The last point that I want to also believe is that expansive opportunities, working across governments, private sector, we must be able to realize that the opportunities out there for us to work together, civil society, are enormous, but how do we expand these collaborations in a way that they speak to themselves? Right now, if I want to believe someone in the USA right now, in the technology university, it's only that IBM will walk into a technology university and influence the curriculum. But what that does is that has created an opportunity for young people to learn about what the next trend of ICT systems the company will be demanding. That means they are already creating opportunities for young people to think through, to innovate. What we're doing here in other countries in Africa is that we are looking at scripted content. We now should be talking about AI in our universities, in our faculties of ICT. I don't know whether that is scripted anywhere.
Yeah.
So we'll be on a script and talking about the basic computer science
things,
skills and that what the lecturer knows. If the lecturers know AI, they
won't talk about it.
They will not teach
They
it.
won't teach it.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So we must be able to expand that. But lastly, advocacy. We must be having the space. We must create the spaces. We must create opportunity. We must build youth agency to keep on talking about some of the challenges that are going to befall them, some of the challenges that are affecting their hindrances. While doing this, we are creating the mobilization and organization of young people to understand that themselves have a role to play.
Yeah.
And like someone already, politicians say, that you hold on to the future. But we must be able to bring young people to realize that the future of any country is the today and lies in their hands.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I really, first of all, perfect words. But the one thing that has really stood out for me there is that the cost of political inaction and how massive that is. I love that. I have never thought about it that way. I don't think we ever do. But that's a really good way to look at everything. Like, what happens when we continue to not act on this? What are we losing? How is our economy suffering? How are people suffering even socially? So I am absolutely in awe. I think we've come to the end, but now I've always wanted to say this. Which camera should they look at? Which camera is it? That one? I'd like to invite you in a minute to just speak to the camera. We've been talking about young people and how they perceive opportunity and agency. So tell the young people something from your heart. So we can start with Ivan, then Wende.
So Ivan,
Yusuf.
yours is this one?
Yes.
So the young people out there, we are speaking about opportunity, we are speaking about agency, but I know that you have the power in your hands, but I also know that there are limitations, there are backsets, there are issues around you. But again, the fact is that we must not look at those backsets, we must not look at those hindrances. We must put ourselves at the forefront to tell our governments, to tell our politicians, but again also to come to the spaces where decision making is made, because that is when we shall be able to make our voice really, really heard. Thank you.
Lovely.
Ooh, oh my God, bro.
Tuma salamu. Send your greetings.
So, for me, for the young people or for the young person out there, I want to tell you that you are the now, you are the future, you are the wave. And I want you to wake up, raise up, and stand up for yourself and for the future that you're envisioning, wherever you are, right? So never hold back. Always speak up for yourself. Whenever something is not really working in the direction that you are heading to, always remember that you have the choice and the power to alight from that bus and take another bus and go back. So do not just move with the wave. Do not, let the floods carry you. Always have an opinion. Always have an opinion at the end of the day. So that, and then apart from that, I would really want to tell the people who are coming up right now from whichever or from whatever places that you're growing up. Oh my God, bro. Director at the back. Cut. Anyway, jokes.
No, you're good. I knew this was going to happen.
So basically, to wrap this up, regardless of where you are, I want to tell you that there's more to life than whatever you're seeing in your environment right now. There's so much to see in this world, and there's really so much installed for you. You just need to show up for it. If you do not show up, remember that will never walk and come all the way to your doorstep and pick you up and tell you, I am here for you. Show up and always put yourself again at the forefront, of your success. The words are just not wording today, but
but they have worded.
I'll pass it over to our guy over here.
Thank you, Mandy. It's awesome to hear those good advices. I also picked a word or two. To my fellow young people in the communities we live, one thing you have to do is take charge. If you don't take charge, we'll keep lamenting. It's us that are supposed to take up the responsibilities. Let's demand for accountability from the leader, the people that we entrusted our leadership or the slots they hold for us. The other thing I would advise us is that if you feel cheated, don't sit back. If you organize, you'll be better. Many of us together will achieve, but spread and lamenting from all over, we won't achieve anything. To the people that are holding power, listen to us. The time is now. You're sitting on a time bomb. The moment we lose out on this, you won't like it. Ivan mentioned it and said that we are not dealing with the political inaction.
Yeah.
You're not seeing it, but the time bomb is counting, and by the time it bursts, you're going to go with it down. Yep. That's one thing I can tell you.
Very, very, very powerful words. I once was vying to be a politician, by the way, so I feel attacked. Thank you very much. We have come to the end of this podcast, unfortunately. My say to young people is, the future is now. You remember they say that young people are the leaders of tomorrow, but that tomorrow is the today we were promised yesterday. So show up and show out, take charge, and remember that you have the power, you have the voice, you have the influence to actually shape how things are done. You have the numbers to influence how things are happening within your constituencies, within your communities, within your country. So really wake up, take charge, and be able to shape and change the narrative that is happening. Let us not keep on saying that young people, oh, we're lazy, oh, they don't know what they're doing. No, we have all the tools that we need to actually change the narrative. Thank you very much. This has been a conversation about how young people perceive power and agency and opportunity. I have been your host, Rashid David Mutaha from Development Dynamics, and this has been a collaboration with Vijana Corps here in Uganda. We are absolutely happy to be hosted here and absolutely happy to have a wonderful panel from Ivan to Mwende to Yusuf, the only one who kept on saying thank you, Rashid, for that question. Thank you very much, Yusuf.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, and catch you in the next episode, and a peace.
Sign out.
Sign out.